So I just got out of the latest How to Train Your Dragon movie. The plot follows Hiccup, a young Viking, as he befriends a dragon which causes him to challenge his beliefs and way of life. Oh wait, no, you've heard this one before. Oh yeah, that's right. This film came out like just a little over a decade ago. Yeah, this is like one of the shortest waits between an animated film getting a live action reboot, or any reboot really. Since I can remember, it was only really 15 years ago when I was in the theater as a small child falling in love with the first movie. And I think it was like the first time I realized you could see a movie more than once, like you could actually go see a movie a second time. So I begged pretty much everybody around me to see it, and I ended up seeing it like 4 times or something crazy. But funny enough, I don't actually remember seeing the second movie, and I definitely haven't seen the third movie, so I wouldn't say I'm like a die-hard fan of this franchise like some people seem to be. That said, as far as animated movies go, I think the first one is pretty much as close as you can get to flawless. It's a fully realized world with a tight story execution that doesn't waste any time, with some well-done emotion that can be enjoyed by pretty much anyone thanks to its surprising amount of depth, which begs the question, does this movie need to even be remade? Well, with this being my first instance of a film I grew up loving to eventually wind up seeing it in live action as a reboot, as an adult, maybe this one's personal, but I wasn't really expecting what I got. For starters, I went in with a bit of a checklist. I wanted to experience a handful of iconic moments with a realistic depiction, to see certain shots I liked translated into live action, to also see a more expansive take on the Vikings and the world building, and explore new ideas for a greater thematic payoff using its realistic depiction, all within a film contained in its own identity. Instead, in shocking fashion, this one is an incredibly faithful adaptation. Nearly shot for shot, line for line, the exact same film, which I think is either going to excite and please people and or off-put and annoy others. Though I was able to enjoy it thanks to its familiar feels, I do fall somewhere in the middle, so I'll just get my biggest complaints out of the way, and then we're going to try and be nice. We're going to say some of the nice stuff. One of the largest problems I spotted right away is that this is about 30 minutes longer than the animated film, so you'd think this extra time is spent adding more impact to the plot or enriching the character work, but that is where you would be wrong. It actually detracts from the narrative a little bit by taking longer to get to the excitement of the story by adding extra scenes during the setup. Secondly, most of the lines are the exact same, but unfortunately delivered in a much less spunky and charismatic attitude than the animated films. Sure, this isn't animated anymore, things are to be a little bit more grounded, but sometimes Hiccup, mostly Astrid, and the other younger cast, they were pretty much just reciting old lines with a mundane delivery that had much less character and believability in the execution. Lastly, Toothless translated pretty well, but is much less expressive than he once was. He's less of a cute cat dog, if that makes sense, since I guess he's not a cartoon anymore, but that's almost nitpicky, and it kind of went away as the plot took hold. With all that said, on to the good. From the opening scene, very visually pleasing. There were some really well done night scenes, some lighting choices and use of colors. I also think the designs of all the characters, the buildings, and the dragons were really well done and believable. Berk feels like a real place, and I enjoyed seeing the village and the residents within, wherever or however they shot this. I totally bought it. Also, the humor actually was not bad. I found myself laughing more than a few times, and I'll say the casting was pretty on point. I'm glad they brought Gerard Butler back for this. Obviously, in real life, he's not a towering Viking, but stoic here was quite convincing. Although seeing an angry ginger man roundhousing and sucker punching dragons in the mouth is pretty jarring in live action. Also, I wasn't expecting to see Nick Frost here as Gobber, who was great. I know he just got cast as Hagrid for Harry Potter, which is also a reboot that's coming way too soon. I don't know, so maybe I just got my wires crossed and forgot at some point, but he was pretty nice here. Also, for what it is, the kid who played Hiccup, he had a couple moments too. He did alright, and I enjoyed watching him. As for Nico Parker as Astrid, I'm not mad about the look, like some of you seat sniffers, but at first I wasn't really buying her connection with Hiccup, and I still think it's handled a little bit better in the animated film, but honestly, the real star here is 100% the music. Once again, John Powell returned to score this one, and just as it did back then, it really accompanied the visuals to make some chill-inducing sequences, which was where I really found most of my enjoyment. This film gave me the feels, it checked off a lot of boxes on my list, but it is a much less compelling watch compared to the animated counterpart thanks to its 30 minutes of new wasted content and a lack of confidence to defy the source to create anything of nuance. Almost to the point where I just kind of wished I was watching the superior one. In the end, it is able to make you fall in love with the story and the characters yet again, and you get a version of the original that's slightly stripped of its subtlety, but still yields a pretty inoffensive and watchable film. However, the same movie, slightly worse, 15 years later, only to see what it would look like in live action, you're left questioning why. Did we need it? No. Did I enjoy it? Of course. Would I have enjoyed it better if the two 9-year-olds behind me would have shut up instead of narrating every goddamn scene? Yeah, I would have. Probably. So, I don't know if I'd recommend it right away at least. It doesn't need your money. You could go watch the animated movie and have a probably better time, but maybe check it out in a couple months when it's on streaming. And that's all I'll say. Because I'm giving How to Train Your Dragon 2025, the live action one, a 6.5 out of 10. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. Yeah. Yeah. Comment below your thoughts if you've seen the movie or anything. If you just want to yap, I'm down for it. Please let me know how I'm doing on this video. If you want to like, that helps me out a huge amount. Subscribe if you feel like it, because buckle your ass. We got a lot more movies coming out this year. And the summer, it's a stacked summer. So I hope you'll stick around for it. Thanks for sticking around for this video. I appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing. As always, thanks very much for watching. Take care, wash your hands, wear your seatbelt, and stay black. Adios. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.
With me, with us, with me.